what are you now? We don't know. It's 18 or 19 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
It's always like plus
Almost
or minus
19.
a couple
Almost
weeks.
19.
But she's doing okay. Those of you who've been with us for a while know that Nicole and pregnancy don't get along so well. It's a very tough time for her, and this time is no different than the last time. So it's just a challenge to keep food down and to keep food coming in, getting enough calories. She tends to lose weight during pregnancy, which
I've gained 1
sucks.
pound.
Yeah, 1 pound. She's like halfway through this thing. So anyway, she's here, and this is why we missed the last couple of shows. So apologies for that, but it's for a good reason. Here, in fact.
But I kept up with the giveaways.
She did keep up with the giveaways.
There
Look,
were a few times where I'm like, oh, so sick, but I gotta pick a winner. I gotta pick a winner.
there's little baby Spags. That was today's ultrasound. For those of you who don't care about babies, sorry.
That's what's going on.
We were all babies once. So we
That's
should
true.
care at least a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So giveaways. If you go to thewoodwhisperer.com/giveaway, you will find information on any current giveaway. We do one a month, right? So go there, you can enter to win, and some really great prizes. So what was last month and what's
Well,
coming up?
I should mention also if you go to thewoodwhisperer.com/past-winners, we've missed 2 months of winners, so we've
Still did them.
We've still been doing giveaways, and we've had a lot of great prizes that we gave out. We have Micro Jig and
You guys know Microjig, right?
Arbortech this month.
So it's a full kit, like the whole spiel.
Actually, both of them are giving away a complete. So Arbortech is giving away a complete pack, and Microjig is giving away a complete pack.
And this is not the complete thing, right? They've got other stuff now, other
There's
little
a whole bunch of
contraptions and
things.
add-ons. And I know you guys have probably seen the gripper on every video on YouTube at this point. So good stuff. And I'm sure everyone, if you already have one, you could use another one.
And then for the Arbortech pack, you're going to get a turbo plane,
Boom, baby. That's this bad boy.
a mini turbo. Do you have one?
Boom, baby.
They're like a smaller one.
I think it might be over there.
Yeah.
It's a miniature carving tool.
And then another contour.
And a random contour sander. This, by the way, is one of the greatest things. I've really been playing with this a lot on the Sculpted Rocker. It's a flexible disc that allows you to get into lots of different nooks and crannies and shapes, and the paper actually lasts a good long time, so I'm still getting to know it, but it attached right to a grinder like this, and it's great. It's fantastic. So if you're a turner, you're gonna be interested in this. If you're a carver, if you do sculpting, absolutely something you're gonna want. So the whole package,
Yes.
somebody's gonna win that.
They make some amazing
They
stuff.
really do. Arbortech's great. So
both
is
of those-
Microjig.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Bye.
You look lovely as usual.
Oh, I don't know.
Have fun being pregnant. I'll be over here. All right, so a couple of news pieces, announcements, some thank yous that we have to do. First of all, I was sent this fabulous moose. This moose is from Jay and Suzanne Curtis. They run a website called hobbyforcharity.org. Basically a husband and wife team raising money for charity by selling homemade crafts. All money raised on the site goes directly to charities. We donate the materials and our time, they say. The site is about helping others by doing what we love. The proceeds are divided equally between 3 organizations: the Nazareth Area Food Bank, Second Harvest Food Bank, and Northwestern Pennsylvania Feed My Starving Children. So they sent this to us, and this has entertained both me and my son.
With a bunch of pictures of actual moose.
Yeah, with moose pictures. Mooses? Mooses? This thing's fantastic. I could do this all day long. You ready? You watching? Whoopsie. I thought
You should put a bowl underneath it.
I don't know. I thought he only pooped one at a time.
No, he poops a lot.
Whoa, that is one pooping moose. So you fill it with M&Ms, with jelly beans, and check it out. You'd be like, I need some M&Ms, yo. Whoop, thank you. So, a fantastic toy. Like, what kid would not want a pooping moose?
It's awesome.
If you have, and I'll tell you what, yeah, we could build one. We're woodworkers, right? But why don't you go to hobbyforcharity.org and buy one? They're reasonably priced. I assume he has them there.
They have jewelry there too. Lots of arts and crafts.
Yeah, lots of great stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, is this the guy that he does a couple? I think he did like I think he has one of our projects that he puts on there.
A few of our projects.
I think he's got like one of Steve's projects on there. Really fantastic little toy. We should make those. Do you think that should be the cancer charity build? The pooping moose?
Maybe not.
Ah, man, good stuff. We also have a very important thank you here. And unfortunately, it has to be an anonymous one, but you see this beautiful U.S. flag here, and there's a certificate and a story inside here from a Navy pilot that took this flag on a mission and flew it for, I think it was like a 10-hour mission with multiple in-flight refuels and basically over Iraq, and sent it to me, which is awesome. Like, what did I do to deserve that? But I can't say who the guy is, but this is just a thank you to that gentleman. Thank you for your service, and absolutely thank you for this flag. So I hope to be able to do it justice by making a flag case on the show at some point and putting this in a place that it deserves to be, right? It's pretty cool stuff.
Did you give him a code name?
Oh, well, yeah, I was thinking about his code name. I'm thinking code name Maverick. Or code name, what's the actor's name?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, code name Tom Cruise. That's who sent this to me. So thank you so much. This is a really beautiful gift. Last on the thank yous is from Rockin' H Woodshop. You guys know Drew over there, that good-looking gentleman. His website's rhwoodshop.com. You probably know him on YouTube, but he sent me a couple of T-shirts, some like little card stickery things. Unfortunately, he sent me an XL. I wear a large for anyone who needs to know in the future. So I probably will have to send these back to get some ones that I could actually wear. Otherwise, it's just a nice decoration. You know, my favorite thing about this, Drew, I'm going to bust on you here for a second. Proudly made in the USA on a T-shirt that was proudly made in Haiti. But thanks, Drew. I appreciate that. And I actually had an opportunity to do a guest spot on his and Jeremy's podcast, Woodshop 101 podcast. So if you like audio podcasts like Wood Talk, go check those guys out. All right, so every live show, I like to show you one of the projects that was submitted to our website, one of my favorites in particular, and highlight it here. And you could always submit your own project at our website at thewoodwhisperer.com/submit, and you might make it on the show here live for me to talk about. And heap praise upon you, my friend. This one is called Seth's Pirate Chest. For at least an entire week leading up to my son's 6th birthday, I was up until midnight working on this pirate chest. My son wants to be involved in everything I do in the shop, which I love, but if I'm hiding it from him, I can only work on it once he's in bed. I looked at a bunch of pictures of pirate chests, but didn't find any plans that I liked, so this chest was completely designed by me. It's made out of pine, red oak trim, stained with dark walnut. Construction is simple glue and screw, but the trim hides all of that. I used masonry nails on the trim to give it that old-style look. Hardware is not exactly what I had visioned, but it's what I could find. I did find a really cool old-timey skeleton key lock off of Amazon, though, and he loves that. I'm pretty new to woodworking, so this project gave me tons of learning opportunities. It also gave me a reason to buy a few more tools, and that's always a good thing. Oh yeah, before I gave it to him, I sketched out a really simple treasure map. I hid the chest in the backyard and gave him a map and the keys in an envelope. It was a lot of fun helping him find the treasure. Then the look on his face made it all worth the effort. Priceless. That's fantastic. I love it. I'm a sucker for kids' stories now. A lot of times I do show stuff, like things that have been sent to us or stuff we have to review. And I just got this box. And I'm not going to be able to go into detail on it because this is the first I'm seeing it myself. But we'll do a demo on this next time. How about that? But I want to see it. I'm going to unbox it right here, live. This was overnighted to me from the folks at Pony Tools, Jorgensen, the people that make Jorgensen clamps. This is a new to-the-market product. It's a scraper set, a Tommy Mac scraper set. Here it is, the Tommy Mac Pro Scraper Kit, and I believe this is on the market now, if not Monday. I talked to Tommy the other day, and he seemed to indicate that it would be available Monday. I honestly, I'm just showing it to you because, look, someone sent me something, but I have to open it up. I'm in the middle of a project where I can make extensive use of scrapers, and I'll put this thing to the test. Basically, it's going to include sharpening things to sharpen the scraper, burnisher. Looks like there's a diamond plate in there. And there's a couple other things. I think Tommy mentioned some thumb guards to prevent your thumbs from getting all hot, which is definitely something that happened. Look at these. Little thumb condoms. Hello. Hello, scraper. Let's get to know each other, shall we? So here's, ooh, nice. I'll tell you what, that's a thick-bodied scraper. I promised myself I wouldn't review this, but I can't help it. Compared to most scrapers that I have, this one, that's a substantial piece of steel. So thicker the better as far as I'm concerned. Very, very cool. So we'll dig into this in the future. Little sharpening plate, little burnisher. This is awesome. Can't wait to dig into it. But hey, if you want to jump the gun, go ahead and do a couple of Google searches. See if you can find this thing online. Go ahead and buy yourself one. And when you're done, what you should probably do is you should cut this out and put that on your wall or next to your bedroom. On your nightstand.
What's it called?
It's Tommy Mac's Pro Scraper Kit by Pony Tools. I almost said Tony Pools. I'm not sure who that is. That's actually the name I use when I go to Vegas. You stepped on a jelly bean. It never had a chance.
We'll ask Tommy to give us an extra one for a giveaway in the future.
It never had a chance. And this is one of the orange ones. Oh. Okay, camera's pointed at you, just so you're aware.
I'm rubbing my belly.
Just I saw you doing that. I'm like, don't lift your leg and let one rip.
Let's just have it, you know?
Okay, first of all, you're gonna watch me sit. Oh, hello. Oh, this is nice. Camera? Okay. This is what I'm working on right now. It's a sculpted rocker. Yes, I'm working on sitting on my butt. It's quite a job, and someone has to do it. So this is my sculpted rocker. As you can see, it does not yet have its rockers. So that's why it's so low to the ground. I posted pictures and people are like, it's too low. It's like, oh my God, settle down. Settle down. It's gonna actually be up like another 6 inches. Anywho, this is one of the most challenging projects I've done in a while. A lot of detail, a lot of man hours in this. Everything on it is sculpted to shape. There's nothing that's flat on this thing. There's nothing that's really, when it's all said and done, square on it. Everything has a contour to it. And the whole idea is for it to just sort of envelop the body. And even though it's made from wood, it's about the most comfortable chair made out of wood you'll ever sit in. The way this backrest works, all this stuff was worked out by smarter people than me. So I'm using Charles Brock's patterns for this. And his are modeled pretty closely after Malouf's. This stuff has all been worked out, and it's amazing how, everybody's got a different body type and slightly different dimensions to their body, yet most of us would sit in this thing and find, like, wow, that's the perfect level of support for your back. All right, and imagine your arms here and just being able to rock. It naturally makes me want to rock, and there's not even rockers on it. So this is the chair, making this in the guild right now, and my hope is that I will be able to see my wife and new baby girl rocking in this thing at some point, which is kind of a nice thought. So at this point, there's still a little bit of sanding to do. I just glued in the headrest. I have to build the rockers and attach them and then sculpt them to shape, make sure they blend in nicely with the rest of the chair. It's a big build. This is by far the most substantial build we've done in the guild. And I know, like I said, I mentioned, I mentioned before how I do plan on doing a lot more content on the free site, and it's just getting there. With a project like this, I'm releasing 2, and this week 3 videos during the week. So it's not like I'm sitting on my butt all day eating, what do I eat? Bonbons.
Fritos.
Eating Fritos and jelly beans. I'm working my butt off, but it's for a much more limited audience. So I know that's frustrating for a lot of people who want to see us produce, but we're getting there. We are getting there. Ozzy, hey, Mark, quick question for you. How do you optimize your time in the shop? That's probably a little bit, the challenges I face for optimizing my shop time might be a little bit different than what most people have to deal with, because, I don't know, when I'm just woodworking, I tend to optimize my time by making the best scenario possible for woodworking. So I'll have good music on, stuff that energizes me. I make sure I'm not tired, and I get in there, and I'm usually much more productive, and that helps me optimize my time. Problem is, when I'm filming and documenting stuff, I can't have music playing in the background. So the best I could do is have like headphones in and hope no one notices. And that's, my mind is on 3 or 4 things at once when I'm filming and building at the same time. So it's not an optimal way to woodwork, So the way I optimize, I might be concerned about, some different things than most people would. But really, you know what? It's been a while. I've been doing this for quite some time. You start to learn your hang-ups. And optimization for me came in the form of this shop. when I was woodworking in an attached garage, it's amazing how that lack of distance between the house and the shop allows me to just go like, hey, Nicole, what's going on? Let's watch some TV. Let's play some video games. And I get distracted easily. But now we've got enough physical separation and a bathroom in the shop. And for those two things alone have made my time in the shop that much more productive because I don't leave. Leaving is always a problem for optimizing your time. Excuse me. So yeah, I think the key is just identify what are the distractions, what's stopping you from going at an optimal pace. Identify those things and try to figure out a way around them, squash them. I mean, that's kind of like self-help book advice, but that's pretty much what it comes down to.
You also have a calendar that you use to just kind of help you.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I've mentioned this in the past. I sometimes forget it because I say it so often. I'm a big list maker. And when I've got a project to do, a project is nothing more than a series of steps. And you usually know those steps ahead of time. So I go to Google Calendar and I'll print out like a 1 month or 2 month view. And I will mark each day what my goal is for that day. And instead of focusing on the finished product, I'm each day focusing on a mini goal. And it's the achievement of those mini goals that gets me excited. It makes me feel like I actually accomplished something as opposed to accomplishing like 1/10 of a bigger goal, right? So it's a psychological game that I play, but it helps me keep organized. And I found it to be very effective, making a list and applying it to a calendar. Killeen Gia? Mark, anything new on promoting and educating young kids about woodworking?
I wanted to mention, so we actually had somebody reach out to us and asked about educational discounts.
Oh,
And I wanted to bring that up because I'm still working on that. It's something, it's in the process. So if you're a shop teacher, and so like for instance, is a shop teacher
Yeah.
and his entire class wants to build, I think, the wall hanging cabinet.
yeah, a couple of guild projects.
So I'm working out some licensing to get access, and there are also, I mean, that's one that has a DVD, so I might just tell them to buy the DVD and just show it in
Well,
class.
then you can play it on
on the TV.
the little rolling cart thing that
Yeah.
kids get.
I loved it when the rolling cart came out.
Not me.
I did.
Crappy stuff. No, that's cool. And in the online front, I don't really know. But you know what? I've got a 3.5-year-old, and as he starts to show more
Yeah.
interest in coming in the shop, you know, the Wood Whisperer has always been a reflection of what's going on in my life at the time. And in the beginning, when we were dinks with no children, I acted like a dink with no children. And now that I have a 3.5-year-old that rules my life, I act like a dad that has a 3.5-year-old. So a lot of things that I build, I think in the future, as I want to get my son involved in the shop, you probably will see me doing more and learning more about what you should and shouldn't do with a child in a workshop. I'm still at this point just going off my gut, you know, and my son isn't that interested in everything that happens in here yet. But as he shows interest, the responsible thing to do is to you know, look it up and see what other people are doing and then make a good judgment for yourself on what's safe for your kids. So yeah, I anticipate doing some of that. I just don't know exactly when. Matt Tucker, how does a rechargeable grinder compare to the corded one? That's a good question. The rechargeable is fantastic. Now, it is a rechargeable battery. You do need 2 of them if you're doing a long session. Like I was able to do the seat with one go of 2 batteries. By the time I ran out, I was more than halfway through, put the new battery on there, continued running with it, and was able to finish the job and still had juice left. So it's the 2 battery thing that really makes it possible for most general furniture carving jobs, I think. But I gotta tell you, as long as this thing has juice, this is a Milwaukee, by the way, that was sent to me by a guild member, incredibly nice guy, Joseph. Thank you so much again for sending this to me. But as long as this thing works and has batteries, I'm going to use this over my DeWalt. The interesting thing about it, other than battery performance, it's powerful. It's just as powerful. You would think, I don't know where it is. It's over there somewhere. You'd think that this would be less comfortable because it's a little bit bigger, right? And I don't think it's any heavier though. It actually feels lighter. Part of the thing that happens with this is you get a counterbalance because of the battery. So it feels so evenly weighted in my hands, whereas the DeWalt feels like it always leans forward, right? Because the motor is here, the head is here, and then you just have a cord in the back. And I realized just how much that balance promotes being able to use this thing at various angles. So I'm a big fan of this, highly recommend it, and I probably will not be touching the DeWalt for a long time. Justin Fischetti, what about Kutzall wheels? Kutzall is a great brand. I use Kutzall almost exclusively for my smaller die grinder bits. See these guys? Fantastic. I love Kutzall. They're great. So I would imagine, as much as I love their smaller bits, that they probably make great grinding wheels. Jason P., what would you suggest for a starter rasp set? What number grit? You know, what I showed earlier when I first started is probably a good way to start. These two would be good. You got a combo 5 and 9, and then the modeler's rasp. And this is a very fine one. I believe it's a 13. These numbers are so dang small. I think it's a 13. I think that's a pretty good starter set, but it isn't going to be long before you're going to want to add one of the large half-round models, just because it's also quite versatile. This one I have in a number 10. But if you're going to start with this. You'll get a lot done with this. Eventually, add one of these big guys to your arsenal. I, in fact, at this point have two of these. One that is an 8 grit and the other is a 10. So I always like to have coarse and fine in whatever style or model I have, but that's something you work up to. You don't need that to start. What is the oldest tool you have in your shop? You're looking at them. Actually, Nicole's older than I am.
Yeah.
Technically. Oh, you're not a tool, so you're disqualified. The oldest tool I have is right up there. There it is. Read it and weep, people. That's an old rusty handsaw that was rescued from a yard sale or garage sale or a flea market or some crap that Nicole's father bought for me. He always spots these things. He lives in Missouri and occasionally goes to flea markets and sales like that. And he was thinking of me and bought it for me, which was really nice.
Get you some other stuff?
A couple of like old wormy wooden hand planes and things, yeah. It's all stuff that's so cool looking in its aged state that I don't want to touch it. I just want to leave it as is and use it for decoration, frankly. Tom Moore wants to know, what's with the odd-looking coping saw? This is a New Concepts. Look them up. KNEW Concepts fret saw. Or actually, it's a coping saw. They also make a fret saw. They've got some really unique designs. You know, I'll be straight with you guys. I'm kind of a sucker when it comes to, and maybe I should just leave it at that. I'm kind of a sucker. When it comes to uniquely designed, cleverly crafted and engineered tools, and that's what this is. It's an awesome coping saw. It's not cheap, and for the amount that I actually use a coping saw, it's kind of ridiculous that I have this, but I couldn't resist. I got a sale on it when I was at a Woodworking in America show, and I saved a few bucks and bought it. And you know, the 1 or 2 times a year that I use my coping saw, it's gonna be fabulous. It's gonna be like a dream. Who was it? Matt Tucker says, what was the first thing you built for your son? My 5-month-old is starting to get interested in toys, and I can't wait to start building him stuff. First thing I built for Mateo was a rocking horse. It was one of our Woodworkers Fighting Cancer builds. You could still find the video on the website. He wasn't even remotely ready for it. In fact, when I built it, you were pregnant. Yeah. So that was something I built way ahead of time. Since then, I built him a couple little toys. We've done little, like derby cars together that I just put together with just scrap pieces of wood, and then he just paints it and then forgets about it 2 days later. So toys is the primary thing that I build for him. One thing I'm really considering doing is for the next charity build, I built him the toy box, right? That's not really a toy, but it does have the Lego thing on the top. He can draw on it. He can store his stuff in it. I think I might do one of those really cool trucks. Like Wood Magazine has a lot of plans for really beautiful, like handcrafted construction vehicles and things like that. I think I'd like to make him something like that. Aaron Patchen, would you do a video on how to properly set up your Fuji sprayer? When I use mine, I feel like I lose so much to overspray because I don't know how to properly set up my sprayer. No, I won't. I'm getting really nervous about this dog. I'll think about it, Aaron. I will definitely consider that. what I would recommend in the meantime is, if you can, take a look at Jeff Jewett's. He's got it's one of Fine Woodworking's combination book DVD sets. So it's a red book that has a DVD inside it. And there's a lot of tips for setting up for HVLP spraying. So that's something that could certainly clue you in, and Jeff certainly knows his stuff. But I'll keep that in mind. I'll show you how I set mine up. I'm not super scientific about it. There are people who are real, true experts in finishing who know all the details of dialing everything into perfection. I have ways of getting good results without having to worry too much about it. Like, I make sure I've got the right needle size, I test my spray pattern, I check the flow control of the liquid flow, and the final thing I'll adjust if I need to is the air pressure. And I'll dial that back if I feel like I'm getting a little bit too much overspray. But as long as I don't get orange peel from dialing back, then I found my balance, you know. And I do a lot of post-processing on my sprayed pieces that help me smooth the surface out, so that if there are any little imperfections as a result of my laziness, they kind of go away pretty quickly. So the mirror frame, the large mirror frame video, I actually showed some of the tricks I employ with the diluted finish in the last coat or two that helps get good results when you might have a little bit too much overspray going on. The Weekend Woodworker. What brands are the chisels behind you? Well, I've got Lee Nielsen mortising chisels, Marples bench chisels, just the basic Marples plastic handled 4-pack. And these are Fujihiro chisels that I got from Hida Tool, H-I-D-A Tool. These are Japanese chisels with multiple bevels on the...
Mention the shop page that I made that you've never linked to.
What's the link?
It's thewoodwhisperer.com
So-
/marks-shop.
Okay, so there's a page that we haven't promoted much because I feel like we've never completely finished it.
No, it needs to finish.
It's not
I think
100%
it's a work in
accurate,
progress.
but it's thewoodwhisperer.com /marks-shop,
M-A-R-C-S.
M-A-R-C-S. Go there.
Shop.
And there's a couple of panoramic photos where, and does the photo have like hot links in it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the photo itself is linked up where you could drag your mouse over it and see what each tool is. And I don't know did we get down to chisels in that though?
I was going to take a picture. And
Yeah,
then-
so the idea was we take a picture of the wall and have each thing linked up to the product that I actually use. So go check it out. It's pretty cool. Thewoodwhisperer.com /marks-shop, and you'll see a lot of the stuff that we've got there and links to everything underneath it. So it's pretty cool, man. Tommaso, Valeriano. I'm pretty good with the Italian names. Whoa, it's raining. You guys are experiencing one of the very few Arizona rains. All right, Tommaso, what's happening? Mark, working on a display box out of ash. It'll be traveling quite a bit. What finish would you recommend? You know, the what finish would you recommend question is one that I always have trouble with. I actually wrote an article on it explaining why it's difficult to answer that. I shouldn't say that. It's not difficult. The answer is simple. The finish I always recommend people use is the one that they are the most effective at applying and can get the best results with. The reality is most film forming finishes that we have today are really protective and work really well. So if you apply one better than another, use that one. For something like a display box, you got to decide, do you want the glossy, thick film look, or are you going for something a little bit more natural? So if you like something natural, I like to have a little bit of protection on anything that I build. So something like a Danish oil. Watco Danish oil is a great choice. Super easy to apply, 2 to 3 coats, and you'll have yourself a nice satiny finish, a little bit of varnish for protection, but the ease of application of an oil. So I think that's a good compromise. But if you're looking to do HVLP, you could certainly use lacquer. Lacquer is absolutely beautiful on decorative boxes. Even some of these nice water-based finishes are good. Ash is a light color wood, so it's going to respond well to water-based. In terms of color, you shouldn't have a problem. All right, so we're back to Justin Fischetti again. I thought I recognized last name. Which of the Festool sanders do you buy if you could only have one? That is one of the most popular questions I get. Did you know that?
No.
If I could only buy one, it would be the ETS 150, either the 5 or the 3. I don't think it matters that much. I believe I've got the 3. People are often surprised that I don't say the Rotex. And the reason is because the Rotex is not my everyday sander. Yes, it's more versatile, but the things that it does, I don't usually need a sander to do unless I'm doing a lot of refinishing, or rough work. So for me, my everyday sander that gets used on every single project is an ETS 150. It's a great, high quality sander. Guest 835. Does he consider a CNC actual woodworking? I don't know. Let's ask him.
Well, I was talking to him. He was asking if you're ever going to get one.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out who he was. Do I consider it actual woodworking? Here's my definitive final answer on the question of is CNC actual woodworking? I don't care. How's that? To me, it doesn't matter. I mean, really, is it or isn't it? Does it help you get something done? Does it help you accomplish a goal? Does it replace certain other things that you could be doing by hand? Sure, but who cares? I mean, if it helps, if it's a tool that helps you get something done, fine. And if you're looking to put labels on stuff, I guess it might matter. But I just, it doesn't bother me. If somebody makes a great masterpiece with a CNC, okay, here you go. Someone makes a Maloof chair with a CNC, which actually would be really damn hard to do. But if they were able to do it, I would say, now there's someone who knows how to use a CNC, because that would be pretty complicated. And then the person next to him did it by hand. Would I have more respect for the person who did it by hand using more classic tools? Yeah, I'd have more respect for the work. But would I tell the other guy that he didn't actually do any woodworking? No, because I don't care that much about it. He had fun, he built it, and it's a finished piece that looks good, and it's better than something that he could have bought at Walmart. And that's the victory. He made it himself, even though he used a more advanced tool to do it. So seriously, I didn't mean to belittle anyone or sound, sort of snide with that comment, but I honestly don't care. It's just a label. Who gives a crap? As long as people are learning how to do things with wood, and if they're using great technology to do that too, that's fine. It's all good. And maybe someone who is doing something on a CNC someday may go, you know what? I can only do so much, right? So maybe I'll go and learn how to do something else with a hand plane or with a saw, so I could be a more versatile craftsperson. So that's how I feel about it. Nick B. Mark, can you recommend a hand tool split a 3/4 maple board? A hand tool to split a 3/4 maple board that would half the board thickness. A rough result is fine. I got halfway through a project and lost access to my power tools. Oh, so you're just trying to resaw a board. Yeah, half the board thickness. So you're resawing. The resaw classic hand tool is a bow saw. Big giant saw with a big blade. Think of it kind of like a big version of this, with a wide blade on it. If I'm not mistaken, my buddy Shannon may have some information on bow saws on his site on the renaissancewoodworker.com. Take a look there. That's probably going to be your tool of choice, and it will be a fairly rough cut, but nothing that hand planes or a planer couldn't handle. But to my knowledge, that's the way it's done with hand tools if you're going to do it. Another Matt Tucker question. How often do you sharpen your card scraper? I can't seem to get good results with my brand new scraper from Woodcraft, but I'm a little nervous about messing it up to trying to sharpen myself. Absolutely sharpen it yourself. Here's the great thing. Every time you mess up your scraper, all you need to do is put it back on the stone and re-hone it, right? You should, I've got a couple of videos on scraper sharpening, so I'm not going to go through the process, but do I have my stuff here? Yeah. I've got a couple little aids here made out of wood that just help hold my scraper at the proper angle for honing. So when I'm on this, I kind of just rub it back and forth on the surface. That will flatten the end, and then you can very easily flatten it. So don't worry about messing things up, because you can reset it like that. And as soon as you're back to a nice sharp square honed edge, then you could work with the burnisher again and try it again. You just got to keep trying until you find that sweet spot. And you know what? Hey, maybe next time with the Tommy Mac kit, I'll have some good advice for you about how to use this thing. We'll go through the process again. But yeah, really, it's just the scraper. It's not like a lot of people might get uptight about ruining the edge or the bevel on a sharp tool like a chisel or a plane blade. That's a little more risky, because sometimes fixing those things mean you got to do a lot of honing. to get it back to where it's supposed to be. Not so with a scraper. So I say dive in, keep doing the burnishing. If it doesn't work, try it again, keep burnishing, and then go back to the sharpening process and re-hone the edge if you need to. Oh, so how often do I sharpen? It's hard for me to say because I don't use them on every single project, and I have quite a few of them. So like if one doesn't cut as well, I'll go to the next one. So I don't know, maybe every 6 months, I'll go through and just sharpen all of them. And then I usually wind up using them like longer than I should. And each one of them gets at least 2 or 3 reburnishings with the burnisher, because once it starts to die down, you can kind of bring it back to life a little bit. It doesn't last as long, but you can get a little bit more life out of it without going through the entire process. Barry Gilbert.
We haven't done this in a while.
We haven't done it in a while, so let's keep doing it so people can thumb it down on YouTube because it's too long.
Sorry.
It's such a love-hate relationship, I think. Barry Gilbert says, how do you calculate price? And why is the link to my article
Because
there?
I wanted you to mention it.
Oh.
That we've already written about it.
She's very smart. How do I price my work? You know what's great? This is what I love. Sometimes articles just do amazing things. Now, maybe it's the way Google ranks a search engine here, but I'd be curious to know if everyone goes to Google and type in pricing your work and let me know if and where our article appears. Just a little survey. Try that. If you can't find it, it's at thewoodwhisperer.com/articles/pricing-your-work. You can also find it on the website and search pricing your work. On our website, you'll find it. My method is very simple. I don't claim to have a method that people can build a major business upon. It's a simplified method that I think the average Joe who's looking to sell their stuff can use to feel better about making sure they're pricing things in a way that's fair to them. Travis Swire. Did anyone say that they liked the idea of the Skype thing? Did any feedback come in on that?
Yeah. I had about a handful.
What finish are you planning for the sculpted rocker? Okay, either a Danish oil, or I'm starting to grow to like that tried and true oil. A couple of live shows ago, maybe 2 ago, I showed how to apply that oil. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But tried and true is a pure oil. It's a polymerized oil, boiled linseed oil. And it's really an all-natural finish. You just have to apply quite a few coats to build up a nice luster. But I think it might be perfect for this chair. My concern, though, is I don't know if I have enough patience to put the multiple coats that it takes to get it where I want it to be. But this is the kind of project that if you're going to put a little TLC into something, this is the project you do that with, right? Wood Whisperer Speedos are on order, though, so wait for those. Derek Albalos. Mark, would the Domino be worth purchasing for future guild projects? Yes. The Domino is good, I think, if you feel like you've kind of mastered a mortise and tenon joint, it's not really a big challenge for you, that's when I like to see the Domino come into somebody's shop, because it's really a time saver. And the joints that come from it are really strong. They're not necessarily as strong as a traditional mortise and tenon joint, but strong enough for the application. And it's such a versatile tool. It's so fast to use. It will help you crank out projects much faster. And there are many, many times in the guild where the Domino is not used, but could have been used and would have saved you lots of time. But I can't just whip out the Domino on a guild project, because I want to make sure it can be made with a table saw, a router, a chop saw, a bandsaw, just the basic complement of tools. There have been times that I pulled out the Domino just because it truly was the best thing, and I recommended other things as an alternative, like a biscuit joiner or something. The seat on the Maloof rocker is an example of that. So yeah, the Domino will help you with future, not just guild projects, any project you do that has mortise and tenons. I think it's a really good investment, but I hate to see people get it too soon. I would love to see them get a little bit more traditional mortise and tenon joinery under their belt, because that skill set is something that applies to so many areas of woodworking that if you don't give yourself the chance to learn that, you're kind of going to limp your way through things. But you'll make some darn good mortise and tenon joints as long as you have a box of Dominoes in the shop. Joey Hall sounds like a New York comedian. Hey, it's Joey Hall over here. So I was on the way to work. Joey Hall, my dad and I are looking into a lathe, and I was wondering if you had any recommendations. Love your videos, by the way. Well, thank you, Joey. I don't really have great recommendations on lathes. Anyone who's watched the show for any length of time knows that mine doesn't really come out that often. I think I've done maybe, 3 projects involving the lathe? The lathe comes out more in the guild, though, because I've turned furniture parts and various things. There's some turned pedestal table bases over there. So yeah, it's not something that I do very often. I'm very, very fortunate to have a beautiful Powermatic lathe. Do you need that to do turning? No, you don't. And in fact, that question you asked, let's do this. Let's throw it to the chat room. There's probably some people with some extensive turning experience there. What's a decent lathe to start out with? See if you can give Joey some recommendations. Let's throw it out to the public. Making it hard on me. Josh Nehenries. Did I get that right? Mark, have you ever used the Makita 2040 thickness planer, and what's your favorite Makita tool? I have not used that planer, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. My favorite Makita tool, it's a funny question. It is kind of a funny question because, what's that?
Was that the?
Well, then it's just an odd question in the sense like, what if I don't have any Makita tools, let alone a favorite?
Did it get stolen?
So, but I'm saying it just so happens that I actually do have some perspective on Makita tools because I have owned a couple of them. I have 2 Makita tools, one that I still own and one that was stolen out of my shop. Makita chop saw, back at our old house, there was a lot of construction going on, and I'm guessing a construction worker who knows what that sort of greenish, tealish blue color means. I was moving things around in my shop, had my garage doors about 1.5 feet open, and while I was moving things around, I went in for lunch, had my chop saw near the front garage door, came back, and it actually wasn't for a couple of weeks because I didn't get back in the shop to finish. I didn't notice. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? And I remembered back to that one day a couple of weeks ago where the door was open. Some douche went and stole it out of the garage. So I love that saw. It was a great saw. Makita chop saw was fantastic. It was a 12-inch slider. Great saw. The other thing I have is my die grinder. This beauty. I've been using this guy since I've been using a die grinder, and it has held up well. In fact, Nicole, Temecula. I bought this in Temecula that long ago. And the cord at the back, it's starting to fray a little bit, but other than that, it has served me well. So I would say those are my 2 favorite Makita tools. Robert Martuzewski says, how do you combat the Walmart mentality? Like people who are all within a town that wants something for nothing. That's a really hard thing to fight. I'm not sure that you can fight that. One of the things you can do is just expose them to your furniture. Show them, like if you can't make them see the difference, they're not going to see it, all right? So if you can build something that they look at and say, wow, and make them understand the difference. And I'm sure, Nicole, would you say even people in our family that eventually saw my work, like they had to see it and feel it to understand what the difference between that is and what they can get at either, IKEA. And isn't that to put down any furniture? We bought plenty of furniture from IKEA, Walmart, Target, and things like that at various times. It certainly serves its purpose. But if you're looking to convince people of quality, you just have to show them. And if they still don't get it after seeing your coffee table, your entertainment center, your chair that you built, if they still don't get it, then there's only so much you can do. And it's very difficult if you're in a region that's locked into that mindset and maybe budgets just aren't there to afford custom furniture. It's a difficult thing. That's an uphill battle, and I don't really have a great answer other than to make sure people see it and feel it and touch it. Sit on it, roll in it, kiss it, punch it, smack it, flip it, rub it down. Joey Hall wants to know, that's that comedian in New York. What kind of jobs could there be in woodworking? I'm 16 and I really love my shop class, and I'm curious what I could do with it. Joey, there's one thing I've learned in my extensive experience of woodworking and life. I'm almost 40 years old now. What am I, 38? Honestly, what I've learned is to bow out of answering questions I can't properly answer. At 16 years old, you've got some decisions. Well, not yet. You've got some decisions to make soon, right? If you're going to try to do something with woodworking, the woodworking is going to be, in my opinion, the easy part. You can go to better schools. Think, I don't know, off the top of my head, Boston has some good schools. I'm not talking about business yet.
No. Don't they have a woodworking in Redlands?
No, that's Palomar College. You're talking about Redwood
Oh, Redwood.
in the Northwest.
Yeah.
So there's a few woodworking schools like North Bennett Street School that are sort of there to push you into the trade of woodworking. And I would highly recommend, if you're going to get and really do woodworking as a career, I think you need to start with something like that if you can. I mean, they might be a challenge to get into, they might be expensive, but I think you do need to have some good, solid woodworking education. On top of that, you cannot neglect the business side, because no matter what you do in woodworking, it's still a business. And if you suck at business, then you can't make it go unless you're good enough to hire somebody or have enough revenue to hire someone to handle the business side. And there are so many people, artists, makers, woodworkers, craftspeople, who fail at their business, not because they weren't good at what they do, they just weren't good at business, right? And it's a different thought process that goes into it, So don't neglect that. So if you really want to take this seriously and get into woodworking, you got to focus on business too. So take business courses. I don't know if you have, if you're thinking you're going to go to college, but that wouldn't be a bad idea. And think about taking business courses while finding your woodworking education elsewhere. And I don't want this to come off wrong, but if you're a good business person and a mediocre woodworker, you will be more successful than a master craftsman who's a terrible businessman. That's kind of just the way it is, right? So I actually think you've got to be able to understand how to run a business, how to market a business, and how to be successful as a business person.
Or you just work for a cabbage.
Yeah. And that's another thing. If you can work under someone else and see how a business is run, you'll be learning business and woodworking at the same time. So look for someone who's willing to work with you as an apprentice. That'd be fantastic. It's just these things in America tend to be a little bit more difficult to find because it's not really a formalized thing.
I was thinking of College of the Redwoods.
College of the Redwoods, Palomar in the San Diego area, North Bennett Street School. There's probably quite a few others, but those are the ones that come to mind.